Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Introduction to Dance. This is session number 8. I am Missy Lilje, and I'm happy to see you all. If you are going through Introduction to Dance in a synchronous way, then you know that our movement sessions are now happening synchronously when we are together. Each of you is sharing your own dance culture with the rest of the group with a presentation. If you are going through this course virtually in your asynchronous way, then I encourage you to do your own research about some different dance cultures and different movement styles and genres. So, you can do that by just cruising all over YouTube. Look for some things that you can do, that you can participate in. And if you're willing to go out in the world, then I would encourage you to find different dance cultures and different dance events that you can participate in real life, either by just going to watch, or if you can even participate, that's even better. So those movement experiences and those movement sessions are a really important practical component to the study of multicultural dance. So it's kind of not enough to just think about it and read about it. It's also very important to get yourself in that environment and experience it for yourself. So, we are continuing going through our textbook by Dr. Peggy Visicaro, Studying Dance Cultures Around the World. And today we're going to do an introduction of Chapter 5. So in Chapter 5, we are talking about the fact that human life means social life, because humans are social creatures. And we have to interpret the information we take in through our senses about people and aspects of the environment we're in. And then we've got to quickly process that information as it comes in. Then we have to interact in ways that make sense. That's kind of what it's like to be living life with the people in our environment. And there are two things that inform all of our actions. Number one is experience, and number two is context. So when we're making choices about how we interact, those choices are always informed by experience and context. As we interact, we organize ourselves to create meaning and structure. And this process of socialization lets us learn the rules that guide our behaviors in lots of different types of organized environments. So we use our cognitive operations, information processing and knowledge acquisition. Those are cognitive operations. We use those to facilitate our interpretation and representation of events. So the social context that we have, that we create, that we acquire through our life and our experiences, that social context completely shapes these cognitive operations. An interaction that encourages the exchange of lots of different perspectives really allows comparative dance study, even with information that's coming in that's cognitively diverse. And I'll give you an example. So when I was a freshman in college, one of my friends asked if I'd like to go to church with her. And so she took me to, and I grew up going to church, but the church she took me to was different than anything I'd ever experienced before. I understood the purpose, of why we were there, but the things that I was seeing and hearing and experiencing were different than what I had seen and heard and experienced in church before. This was a church that people were standing up and sitting down whenever they wanted to. They were raising their hands into the air. They were swaying, they were moving as they sang. And they were yelling out in the middle of the sermon. And so that was different than anything that I'd ever experienced in my church going days. I grew up in a situation where people were really quiet and very still and kind of meditative. And so my experience told me the purpose of this is a religious experience. It's about worship and community. But my experience didn't prepare me for the things that I saw around me. But I was able to go, oh, okay, so it's okay to stand up. It's okay, if I feel something, to go, amen, it's okay for me to sway a little bit as we are singing, which felt really nice to me. So that's one example of going into a different context and making sense of it really quickly and understanding where I fit within the organization of things. So I wonder if you can think of an experience like that. And, you know, a time when you felt like you were out of your comfort zone, like you were experiencing something different and your brain really went into its function of processing information really quickly, understanding the social organization, and informing the way that you were going to then interact. Can you think of a situation like that? I'm trying to think of a dance situation like that I had before. Oh, I know one. The first time that I went to a dance concert at the local public high school, it was really fun. And the audience was it was almost like going to a sporting event where people were cheering in the middle of the dances and totally like screaming and supporting the dancers as they performed and after they performed. Whereas the way that I grew up dancing, again, it was more of a quiet situation where people sat quietly and they clapped at the end of the dance. So just the fact that there was this other environment that I was in at a dance concert where the audience was, again, like really excited and letting their excitement show. That was fun too. So if you can think of a dance event or a dance environment that you went into that was different, and just kind of relive the way that you took in that information, processed it, socialized yourself, and the way that your cognitive operations were informed by your social experience and context. That's a really nice process. And also to remember that when we get outside of our comfort zone, it may be uncomfortable because we don't quite know what's happening. However, that just gives you new information, which allows your comparative process to be that much more sophisticated and that much more mature. So happy again to see you. Hopefully you can find some really good dance events and movement opportunities that you can do between now and the next time we see each other. All right, thanks so much. Take care.